story begins with a man walking down the street, carrying two suitcases. The one in his left hand holds anti-explosive tools, while the one in his right contains a portable time machine. It's clear this man is a time-traveling agent on a critical mission to prevent a bomb explosion. When he reached the engine room, the target location, the agent was suddenly confronted by a mysterious man. What followed was a brief shootout between the two of them. And here's what went down. After driving the man away, the agent immediately powered up his device, but here's what happened next. Yeah, the agent was too late to stop the explosion, which ended up burning his face. At that moment, the mysterious man appeared again, but not to kill him. Instead, he moved closer, bringing the time machine device closer so the agent could return to his original time. A few days after returning to his original time and place, the agent, still recovering in medical care, was visited by two officials from the organization. They came to present him with a Medal of Honor for all his sacrifices and to assign him one final mission before his retirement.
Final order.
Yes.
And the bomber.
Rest.
This time, the mission was to track down a psychopath and terrorist known as the Fizzle Bomber. He was infamous for committing major crimes in the 1970s, using bombs and explosives as his signature weapon. His most devastating act was killing around 10,000 people in New York City in 1975. The agent's primary task was to travel back to that year, track the Fizzle Bomber, and stop him before he could carry out his deadliest attack.
Explosion will level 10 blocks. Everything we've done to stop him has failed. 11,000 dead.
Because the burns on his face were so severe, the doctors planned to perform a major reconstructive surgery that could leave his face completely different. They also warned him about the various side effects of frequent time travel, including cell mutations, nerve disorders, memory loss, depression, cellular changes, hormonal imbalances, vocal cord alterations, and more. But despite all of this, the agent knew he had to go through with it. This was the only job he had. Long story short, after the agent recovered with his new appearance, he was given a few essentials to prepare for the mission: a wristwatch, a firearm for self-defense, and of course, a time machine, the key tool for his time-traveling journeys.
We were born into this job.
And now, here he was, November 6th, 1970, disguised as a bartender, trying to gather information about the Fizzle Bomber from the bar's patrons. But instead of getting quick leads, the agent found himself meeting someone named John, a writer whose book, coincidentally, the agent had just read not long ago.
Okay, I have a weekly column, I write them, they print them, I eat.
Right? That's surprising.
Yeah, a little.
After chatting for a while and getting comfortable with each other, John finally opened up about his past, a story that might shock not just the agent, but all of us. John revealed that he was once a woman. Yes, you heard that right. A woman who had fully transitioned into the man he is today. And now, he was more than happy to share the story of how it all happened.
So you...
Don't interrupt. September 13th, 1945.
Like many heartbreaking stories, John was abandoned by his parents and left at an orphanage. The reasons behind his abandonment were unknown, but what stood out was that young John never got sick, not even once. This made him different from the other kids at the orphanage.
I was just one of a dozen babies who had no past. Not one day, so I was never taken to a hospital.
Since the orphanage staff didn't know the baby's real name, they decided to call him Jane. As Jane grew into a child, she, or rather John, continued to stand out. Jane was the smartest student in school, the strongest among all the kids, even outmatching the boys. While other children from the orphanage were adopted by families, Jane remained the only one from her group who stayed behind, never finding a home outside the orphanage.
The same reason I hadn't been adopted. The freak god loser. I have no photos of myself as a young girl.
One day, to Jane's surprise, someone came to adopt her. But it wasn't a traditional family. Instead, it was a representative from a secret government organization. The man, who introduced himself as Mr. Robertson, said he was impressed by Jane's intelligence and resilience and wanted to recruit her to become part of their organization.
That's true. As well as strong physical abilities. I hear you're a bit of a backyard brawler.
For months, Jane underwent intense physical and mental training, supposedly to become an astronaut and explore outer space. Once again, she surprised everyone by scoring the highest marks in every subject and skill set. However, due to her temper, or perhaps her arrogance, she ended up punching another candidate who frequently mocked her. As a result, Jane, or John, was expelled from the program. Even so, Mr. Robertson promised to speak with the board to try and get her reinstated.
I'll do everything to get you re-enlisted.
I had to support myself. I couldn't rely on Mr. Robertson's promise to see me.
After being expelled from the organization, Jane made ends meet by working as a housekeeper, nanny, or anything else she could find. Knowing how important her career and future were, she also enrolled in night classes at a university. It was there, by chance, that she met someone. An incredibly handsome, wealthy, and charming man whose face seemed almost indescribable.
I couldn't believe it. It was a quote by Abraham Lincoln, and I was thinking the exact same thing.
What are the odds?
Some time passed, and Jane and the man eventually started dating. They grew close and even had intimate moments on several occasions. But one night, as they sat together in a park, the man suddenly excused himself to go to the restroom. And just like that, he vanished. Gone without a trace, never to return.
You had a good reason.
Okay.
Somehow, I'd managed to convince myself that it had been all for the best.
Not long after her mysterious lover disappeared, Mr. Robertson reappeared, this time to recruit Jane back into the organization. He finally revealed the truth. The organization wasn't focused on space exploration, but something far greater: time travel. Jane, or John, met all the qualifications to become a time-traveling agent. She had no ties to family, parents, siblings, or close friends, and her intelligence and resilience made her the perfect candidate.
Past. No ties to the future. You see, the work we do is complicated.
Just as Jane began to see hope for a fresh start, it was discovered that she was pregnant, carrying the child of her mysterious lover. This unexpected turn of events caused Mr. Robertson to abandon plans to recruit her. Fast forward to the day Jane gave birth, the doctor delivered shocking news. Not about the baby or her health, but about Jane's own body. It was revealed that Jane, or rather John, had been born with a complete set of both male and female reproductive organs. However, due to complications with her uterus, the doctors were forced to remove her female organs. From that day forward, Jane officially became a biological man.
Is this some kind of joke?
I'm afraid it's not. You're young. It's not a death sentence. Your life can continue.
Jane's misfortune didn't stop there. She was dealt another heartbreaking blow when her newborn baby was suddenly abducted from the delivery room by an unknown individual. With everything she had endured, Jane finally made the decision to fully embrace life as a man. She took on jobs at restaurants, living as a man, and eventually decided to become a writer, changing her name to John, the person we see before us today.
The manuscript was for real-life tales, and in 4 months I typed 6 letters in one manuscript, in magazines, and studied them.
After finishing his past story, John, the agent, finally admitted that he was a time-traveling agent. One of Mr. Robertson's associates realized that John, or Jane, had great potential to become a time traveler just like him. The agent then invited John to the warehouse to show him the time machine in person.
It will calculate a discrete arrival location.
A what?
It's a time machine.
Why do I need to close my eyes?
And yes, the agent took John back to 1963, when he was still known as Jane, still a woman, and attending university. The reason the agent brought John to this time was to help him get revenge on his mysterious lover, who was known to have first appeared at this university. In return for his help, John had to agree to assist the agent with his mission to hunt down the Fizzle Bomber once he had finished his quest for revenge.
Right.
Dressed like a mafia member, John headed straight to the university, waiting for his mysterious lover to show up. But instead of finding the man he was looking for, John ended up meeting none other than his younger self, back when he was still a woman. And guess what? The surprise didn't end there. Yep, the mysterious lover John had been searching for all this time was none other than himself. Crazy, right? Upon realizing this mind-bending truth, the agent was just as shocked as the rest of us. He quickly saw that this plan had gone completely off the rails, creating a paradox instead. Deciding to abandon the mess, the agent left John behind without saying a word, and refocused on his mission, to capture the Fizzle Bomber alone. Back in the same engine room we saw in the opening scene, the agent arrived just in time to catch the Fizzle Bomber planting his bomb. A shootout broke out between them, followed by a brutal hand-to-hand fight. Eventually, the agent was overpowered and knocked unconscious for a short time. When the agent regained consciousness, the Fizzle Bomber was gone, having escaped to who knows where. What he found instead was himself. His face burned, just like in the opening scene. And then it hit him. The person who had saved him by bringing the time machine closer was none other than himself. After failing to capture the Fizzle Bomber but managing to save his own life, the agent traveled to 1964, 1 year after John had unknowingly dated himself and conceived a child now lying in the delivery room. There, the agent met Mr. Robertson, who was also present. Realizing the agent had made unauthorized time jumps that could disrupt the timeline, Mr. Robertson ordered him to eliminate the baby to ensure history and fate remained intact as they were meant to be. So the truth was revealed once again. The person who had abducted John's baby from the delivery room was the agent himself. Unable to bring himself to end the baby's life, the agent instead decided to take the child back 20 years earlier to 1945. He left the baby at an orphanage, nameless and without a family. This final twist uncovered the shocking truth. Jane, John, and the baby were all the same person. They were mother, father, and child, all rolled into one. A paradox born out of unintended consequences, defying both nature and fate.
Safe journey, Jane.
With the baby's fate sealed, the agent traveled to 1963 to pick up John. That night marked the last time John would see himself, the mysterious lover he had been searching for. As it turned out, the disappearance wasn't because of abandoning responsibility or having someone else. It was simply because the agent had to return to his original timeline to continue living where he truly belonged. Instead of returning John to his old life, the agent took him to the organization and handed him over to Mr. Robertson to be groomed as his successor. The agent, meanwhile, chose to retire, traveling to 1975 to live out his retirement in peace.
Home.
After spending some time enjoying his retirement, the agent found himself still haunted by curiosity about the Fizzle Bomber, who was known to be active in that era. After months of conducting his own independent investigation outside of the organization, the agent was shocked when he finally discovered the Fizzle Bomber's location. Without hesitation, he rushed to the scene, eager to see the bomber's face for himself. And And what a shocking twist it was, for the agent and for all of us watching, when it was revealed that the Fizzle Bomber he had been hunting all along was none other than himself, only older. The truth came out. The Fizzle Bomber's series of attacks weren't acts of senseless violence, but rather attempts to save thousands of innocent lives in the future.
No. See, I've saved lives more than I ever could have. Innocent people. No. I have clippings.
Yes, most of the people Fizzle Bomber targeted with his explosions were destined to commit serious crimes in the future, crimes that would take countless innocent lives. He admitted that some of his actions had indeed taken innocent lives, but he saw it as a necessary sacrifice, one that was worth it to save millions more in the future.
1,861 lives saved. The Hardshaw weapons factory, 1968. No, the terrorists never came in the building because
Technically, the Fizzle Bomber was the agent from the future, or his older self. But hearing Fizzle Bomber confess to killing Mr. Robertson and all the staff in the organization made the agent furious, and he couldn't forgive what had been done. Even though it was still him from the future, the agent chose to destroy him. Little did he know, this decision only made the time loop continue endlessly, and he had clearly failed to break the chain.
No.
Don't get up just yet, because the real shock is about to be revealed. Remember when the doctor at the organization warned the agent about the side effects of time travel, like memory issues? Well, here's where the twist comes in. Yes, it turns out the agent is actually Jane, the baby, and, of course, Fizzle Bomber himself. Due to memory issues, the agent couldn't remember his own past, including not recognizing his own face from the past. It's still fresh in our minds that the agent's current face is the result of surgery after the burning incident in the machine room. And the crazy part is, everything that happened, all the conflicts, were created by the agent himself. Even 90% of the characters we saw throughout the story were all the same person. Finally, there's one big question left about Mr. Robertson, who kept appearing and disappearing. Could he possibly be the same person as all of them?
I miss you dreadfully.
The end, an ending that defies the laws of nature. The message we can take from this movie is that everything has its limits, just like humans, who are born with a set time on this earth. Eventually, everything will reach its breaking point. The question for you all is, who or what is the one thing that has no limits? I'm John, on behalf of the Board of Directors, and I want to thank you and see you in the next video.